Just over a week since a section of the Potomac Interceptor sewer line collapsed along the Clara Barton Parkway. In the last 30 minutes, DC Water confirmed engineers are seeing the lowest level of overflow from the area since the collapse started near that area. So there is hope that crews will start to excavate tonight and then prepare for the prep for the preparations, I guess.
Yeah, so the National Park Service confirmed with us about 2 hours ago it has taken down signs about the spill. Now, DC Water signs with public safety information, those remain. Now, DC Water says this is not impacting drinking water, but that spill is still raising health and safety concerns. Yeah,
meteorologist Caitlin McGrath is going to be talking with an expert right now for some insight.
Yeah, that's right, Leslie and Lorenzo. There has been a lot of concern about what this sewage leak means for your health and the health of the Potomac River. So I'm joined now by Dean Nalyux from Potomac River Keeper, who has updates on the latest of the water condition. Dean, you were just down at the Potomac today. Describe for us what the river looks like right now.
Well, we're in a drought right now. So the river is extremely low, which was very concerning when 40 million gallons a day of raw sewage was dumping into it. And you know, so far now we estimate, based on DC Water's totals, of roughly 300 million gallons of sewage has gone into the Potomac River. And they have diverted a large portion of that flow into the C&O Canal, which we're grateful for. And that is working. They're diverting that flow back into the interceptor pipe. But again, 300 million gallons of sewage did go into the river, and it's continuing to discharge some sewage into the Potomac River. And, you know, we obviously want it stopped as soon as possible.
And Dean, you've been testing the water since this sewage spill started last week. What are you seeing now?
Well, you know, we got out there Friday, we tested our results, you know, upstream were obviously very clear and clean at Old Anglers. But then once you got to the sewage spill site, you know, our levels were showing for E. coli, for example, 12,000 times higher than the state standard for, you know, human contact for water. And we sampled down at Fletcher's Cove in DC Water, and we found that water quality down there 4 miles downriver was definitely compromised and showing high levels of E. coli that were not safe enough for human contact. So we obviously have a concern about what this means for the Potomac River, long-term and short-term.
And it might be hard for people to kind of imagine what this impact actually looks like, but you've been talking to some residents who live and recreate along the river. How have they been describing conditions?
Well, you know, early on when the spill happened, folks who were taking care of Minnie's Island, for example, sent pictures of us with fish kills that had happened already on day 2 or 3, right? And there's obviously people, I saw people walking their dogs down there. And then, you know, obviously there's just a lot of concern from people literally all the way down to Colonial Beach are asking me, like, when is this slug of sewage going to impact the river near them? What does this mean for the river? Again, this is kind of unprecedented. There's 300 million gallons of sewage that has gone into the river at extremely low flow conditions, you know, drought stage. And then you have all this ice and snow. And does that mean that it's kind of locked some of it up and there's going to be a delayed release or a fish kill or, you know, spike in a low drop in dissolved oxygen? You know, I don't know. I'm not a public health expert, but I've been a little disheartened that none of the public health agencies, we know for a fact, like the Environmental Protection Agency has not gone out and sampled. DC Public Health Department, nobody's put out an advisory telling people to stay away from the river. And if this were to happen in the dead of summer, I can tell you this entire river from, you know, the bridge up at 495 all the way down to National Harbor would be closed, and there'd be public health advisories telling people to stay away from the river because of 300 million gallons of sewage going into it. But there's just been no response other than from DC Water, who put some signs up, which we're grateful for. But again, I don't understand why the public health agencies, because it's winter, are deciding that they don't have to do their jobs as public health officials and respond to this.
And Dean, real quick, I know one thing on your mind and on a lot of folks' minds is that there is a big polar plunge coming up next weekend. You're supposed to take part in it. Talk about the testing that you're working with University of Maryland on to try and just get these answers. Is it even safe to move forward with that event?
Well, I encourage them to postpone it. The bottom line is, you know, we are going to go out tomorrow. We're going to do some additional testing, not just for E. coli, but for other pathogens. I think it's really important for the public to understand that everything you find in raw sewage, whether it's all sorts of bacteria, parasites, pathogens, are in the Potomac River now at very high levels. And so I know that there's been supposedly some coordination, according to DC Water, with multiple agencies, but I have not seen a public health advisory. And right now, DC Water has posted signs warning people about the dangers of accessing the river and the threat of raw sewage, but they are not a public health agency. I want to see some public health agencies do an official posting that this river is not safe for human contact. And I just haven't seen it yet, nor has anybody gone out to sample like we have and like we are going to do. So we're stepping up, doing the best we can as the Potomac River Keeper Network. But my job is to eliminate sources of pollution, be a watchdog for the river. We do sampling, in the summer to let people know when it's safe to use the river or not. But, I'm not a public health official. I'm not a scientist. I would like to see people who are in those roles actually do their jobs and start talking to media like you and the public and putting up some type of advisory to let people know that there's concerns about public safety regarding this river.
Dean, thank you so much. And we did actually just reach out to multiple public health organizations in the area to see if we can get those answers as well. But thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing in the meantime, and we look forward to seeing the results that you get with the University of Maryland tomorrow. Dean Nalyux, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for having me.
Of course, for more information, you can go to our app or website.